Hey, welcome back to Happy Little Node Trees. I am your host, Greg, and today we're going to continue walking along, my thoughts on how to emulate film stocks. Like I've done a couple other videos. You can look at those. They're links somewhere. On me initially testing out this new way of doing a film print emulation. And the first two videos were recorded about a month ago, and now made a little progress in thoughts. So yeah, we're going to talk about how I went from this, or well, not how I got to this, from let's just say this. Like this is what it was, film effects. So if we go into here, we have things like halation. So that's where the light goes all the way through and bounces back, and you get that nice little red rim. We don't have it activating on the blue layer. We also have scatter. So this is bloom. Technically, scatter and diffusion should go before halation, but we're talking about that. That's neither here nor there. And then we have film grain. So on your capture negative, that's where you're going to get the grain. Because if you process it right, you're not going to get grain on your print stock that's going to be displayed in theaters. It's going to be from over or underexposing in on the camera. That's going to get you grain. So those are our film effects here. And then we have to invert that. So we have negative images coming through. So we have to go through and invert all those. And we have that set to invert just the green and blue. So all that we have, if we have this, we flip this, it's coming in as red, and we're flipping it to cyan, magenta, and yellow. So that would be your activated dyes of what is cyan, yellow, and magenta, just flowing on through. Now we're going to come through. This is actually a fun one. I like this one. It's called negative scatter. So it's in the process of taking the image from the original captured negative and transposing that back to its printed state that you'd view it through a projector or anything like that. You could put a diffusion filter and what it does is on that negative, it actually takes the dark parts and bleeds that out into the brights, and so you get some really cool effects. It's the same, similar to a film effect, where I can just turn it on and turn it off whenever I don't want it. And you can see here, if we go back to our image, it's just very nice. It's very subtle. You can go crazy, hop in here, because it's just, I'm using scatter. You could use bloom or anything like that, but if you like did pro mist, then you get some like weird light bleed, like you crack the sensor or stuff like that. But you can also split this and do some really fun things where it's like, oh man, split that, but maybe because that's the red channel, so it has a lot of red to it. Maybe I want that pro mist to be on the green channel and the red channel and the blue channel. And yeah, maybe that's an effect that I like. And that extra bleed, now it's not totally green, and I can just take that intensity back on these channels. Just dial that back a notch. Now I'm still getting that bloom bleeding through with a slight hint in hue that, yeah, maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I'm a big fan of using just keep it simple. The Mitchell diffusion from works really well in here for all of these at the normal strength. I'm guessing on what the focal length is. I could probably do research on whatever I shot this on. Line bump, this is back to here. It's just a continuation of that, but it is on each channel. So you can think about this similarly. It's so offset is set to all negatives, and then it's linear gain. We can do a linear gain through this DC till, which is similar to what we had. And this is pretty much just, so we have our negative stock and we're pumping light through it. And we're either brightening the exposure on our cyan or we're lowering it. And so we can either do it through this linear exposure knob here and just go whoop, really dial it in. We can also go down here to our gain wheel. It does the same thing. It just operates a little bit slower. It kind of depends. You can also then, the linear bump grade kind of just does it quick, down and dirty. You can also do your gamma and affect just the shadows. You can go crazy and just with your lift. Don't recommend that, but offset should stay at 0. Makes the best sense. And yeah, you can kind of affect that. But what you see, what's happening is as you change the exposure of light, amount of light going hitting the cyan in this process of developing it, we're going to either get more red, but if we pull out that red, we're going to start swinging the colors the other way because we're pulling the red out of the picture. And so this is technically where one of the stages in which you would do once you set the look, once you set this is the film stock that captured my footage and this is the film stock that I'm printing to, once you've segmented those things off, here is where you're making almost your printer lights adjustments to the image, but just in a digital fashion. That's fun. And you can hop around and, you know, just kind of swing that around. It's just a slight touch and you get that nice green pop in there, however you want it. And this is all the work that's been done. Density is just a way to change some of the saturation of it, and you can affect. So I'm using mononode shaper. You can use color slice from Davinci Resolve. There's different ways to go about this, but it's just another way. It's just another layer of making minute tweaks to each color channel to get the image you want. And this is where you're kind of finding that balance between what do the camera capture, what is its unique properties as a film stock, and did I need to do something to shape it? We're going to go back into the print sim, which is now set up to do status 8 transmittance. The first one was set up to do density. This one is set up to do transmittance. But this one is set up to do 5384. And so if I recall, this is how Indiana Jones was printed. So it went from the first stock that we had, the 5217, was what was captured as the Kodak Eastman negative, and then it was printed for publication, for projection onto 5384. And so we have taking our negative, density doesn't change the inversion, but when you take the cyan and put them through, as you can see here, we're staying in a negative state. And we convert our layer back around. I think I was using A. So A and M change the observer chart, so you can see how that changes where we're watching. Oops, and how we're watching the colors come in. And you can do some really cool things. It will shift and tweak the image that you have based on what you choose there. But yeah, this is the dye density chart that I have drawn. You can see we're not cranking down. We're actually observing in all the channels, all the colors. We're not cranking down the magenta. So even when we're here, we're not changing any of this because that will change and affect the image. We're leaving that at its settings for this stock. So all three of these are the same. You can go crazy and change one or two of them to a different observer, but that's up to you. But otherwise, they should all be the same. The only thing we might have tweaked in any of them is the silver ratio. And that is just a small tweak that we might have made. I might have made to any of the shots to get a good balance. And what that does is really you're looking for that balance of blacks, where that silver ratio is. And at this point is that's where you'd be monitoring that. So you're getting a clean black between these three layers. That's really the only change between them is just how the silver ratio functions to get that baseline neutrality to be matched between the three layers at this point. Then we have that same purifying negative maker. So this is now our red, green, blue purified on that print stock. And then we're going to go into here, which is our out. We are using OpenDRT, but it's set up very uniquely. Pretty much, the equivalent to this is if you were to put a CST here and turn off everything that the CST does, gamut mapping, tone mapping, and uncheck the 3 advanced box. OpenDRT is exactly like that, a very neutral conversion of Davinci wide gamut to Rec 709 when you do that. A very neutral. It isn't trying to force itself like some DRTs will or a CST with any of those tone mapping settings to change it. It is just pretty much saying this is a Davinci wide gamut value, and we're going to keep it in the Rec 7, get it into and keep it in the Rec 709 space without affecting it. If you were to look at a chips map of that, it is pretty much pure. But yeah, that is what's happening here. In this compound node is just, do I have these? Oh, I have T1 magic again. I'm really, so now that it's in Rec 709, I purified it again. It is a very pure image at that point. It is, that is the layer of joy. No, right? Yeah. That's what's going on there. And then we have our negative. This is our finished print image. Negative, inverted, negative, inverted. And there you go. That is all the things in 24 minutes that are going on here. We have this DC tell, which is just another, if we want to make an outgoing contrast adjustment, we can. This is something from Colin Kelly. And then this doesn't even need to be on. This is if we were being crazy and we're like, there's something wrong with that. It kind of just pulls color from places. It does. I'm not 100% sure. I was using it mostly for testing. It doesn't do anything to add to the image. This was just to show you that for something else. So you can delete that. And that's our out. We are, that is our image. We are where we want to be. And that is the things that it did do. And that is our DICEM. So this is where we would affect our shot. We can always go underneath and be like, well, let's tweak exposure a little bit. So this is where I'd be doing. So these changes you would think about were affecting the total. So the camera, the digital camera captured our image and put it together and saved in a timestamp those color values. And then we took it. And here is a step where we're just modifying those values a little bit. And at this point, I would say when it flows through here, that is everything that hit the film negative in your camera. So this is a last minute adjustments from the digital sensor before it hits the film. And then from there, it's hitting the film. This line bump technically is kind of that bridge because you can make exposure changes here. And that kind of reflects back on where we underexposed on the shoot and we needed to bring the exposure up and down or make a tweak to the contrast on the shoot before we say it's going to film. It's hitting the film. And that's what's happening here. And that's when we hit the film. And after that, we can control how it gets translated from being a film print negative with its unique characteristics to the film print positive print and its unique characteristics before conforming the color values to Rec 709 and pushing it out. And that is how we ended up with this. Now, the thing is, this is extremely GPU intensive. I have a good computer and it struggles. Like we go from 24 frames a second down to running around 5 to 6. That's mostly because we have all the scatter on and all these effects, these open effects here, here, and here. And you can see we'll get some of that back and be up over 10, cut in half. But we're pretty much running this footage on 3 separate tracks. So there's a little overhead to doing it this method. I think it's a little cleaner. I think it's a little bit from a purist standpoint. I think it's more true to the sense of recreating the process of capturing on film. And yeah, that's not a bad image. And we're not even using an IDT. We're not bringing it into any color space. We're just taking it as it was. Call me crazy. Maybe I am. But we can look at that. We can bring up clips and go, what are we doing here? That's so cool. And this is a stripped down version. It runs a little bit smoother. Not much smoother. I mean, out of the gate, it's running almost full speed. And mostly because we have all the film, we have this, we could probably get some more speed back. Almost full time. We're getting up to 20. That's, just some of the things that are inefficient in the chain, but we're not running the footage 3 times through. Hey, I'm going to take a break right now. We're going to check out the next video. It should be automatically linked here. I just wanted to break this footage up into 3 parts. Watch all of them, enjoy them. We're going to walk through my double die sim on a triple stack and my double die sim on a single track, and how I structured all those notes. And yeah, crazy. Her jacket, not blue. Anyways, till next time. It's been groovy.